Emlakçı bokumu sangenay. Rezaletçi. Emlakçı bokumu san. Evet. Here we are going to start another explanation. But I just gotta get my coordinates set up here to work out the region of perspective here. Excuse my moment, please. Another one here, and then the coordinate for over here. And I'm feeling self-conscious that the camera's zooming right up on my hand here. And we've got some Jehovah's Witness material here. So let's do a lighting check. How do you view the future? I don't know, love. How do I view the future? Well, when I knocked on the door, I said, relatively optimistic. Relatively optimistic. And then they asked where my name came from. How rude. Excuse me, you should not ask a person where their name comes from in Australia. That's very rude. That's very rude and intrusive. Because when you do that, you're doing a racial profile on me, and that's not very fair. So excuse me for needing to say, that depends on which version you want. Because it's kind of Irish. My name's kind of Irish. Look, Otter Buttrose, same fucking thing, Otter. It's the same as an Aisha. An Aisha, Aja, Acha. There's so many variations of my name. It's kind of international because it's travelled pretty much around the entire bloody planet except for Australia. That's why they can't pronounce it properly. Even though there's an Otter on the land, they still can't pronounce it properly. So this was a very long intro, but I'm not into being planned at the moment. There was a need for me to just get some tension out of my system to explanation the use of the asterisks, where I don't really want to do explanations, but there was a need for notation of why you're using this one here, why you're using that one, the very basic level of its function as a symbol. Let me just work on the stupid lighting again, because I'm in a stupid room with lots of echo. And I'm gonna move. That's why I started off with Emlakçı bokumu san, because she's one of those never minds. Okay, so the use of the asterisk. Asterisk, I hate pronouncing that. Can't get it out of my mouth clearly because of the bloody rhotic, non-rhotic issues with the letter R. That's an Australian issue. And that's another subject. So I just digressed by needing to talk about the issue with the letter R, where I have tapped on it in the past, but this is a whole subject with the letter R. This asterisk here is very root level. Its function is right in the translation process. As I've only got the vocabulary database of a 4-year-old sitting in my brain, that is when I encounter words where I can't Kabul, I can't Kabul. I can't Kabul with the dictionary, where the dictionary will offer options to choose from, but all of those Turkic words are foreign to me, unknown to me. They don't exist in my database. My parents never used them in the house. So for me, the word registers as being completely foreign, and I can't kabul. I can't kabul. That's one level of its function. So let's just try to summarize it as 1. Does not exist. Does not exist in my database. Does not exist in DB. Or what was the other thing? Does not exist in the DB. Parents never used it. Parents never used it. 3. I just can't bridge any meaning at all through the sound, exclusively through the sound. It's just so far away, foreign. It's just, what do I mean by can't bridge it through sound? Well, some words I can bridge meaning through just the sounds of them, and it's a word that's carrying sound sets that are completely foreign. It's just completely unbridgeable. There's no possible way to decipher it. This happens in English as well, where it's that sort who's probably gone to a really elite boarding school in England somewhere, and they're speaking a language where, yeah, they're booky, they're bookwormy, their vocabulary, it sounds very tertiary, and they are often spitting a lot of gibberish that is just indecipherable, really. It's just not possible to break words down to try and guess what are you actually meaning by this really long multi-syllable magpie opera that shot out of your mouth just then, where the nice ones are very kind and they will, gently, kindly, pleasantly explain and break it down for me, but I won't remember it, and that's why I'm not okay to just blindly accept any word from the dictionary when I'm not experiencing a solid connection of my being completely at peace, and the sound just totally rocks for me because it's completely feeling like home. So this one is doesn't feel like home. I'll just write that. Doesn't feel like home. And the reason why it's an asterisk, well, I just needed a function in my document to do lookups where I type in the asterisk, and then it'll just, when I do a search, it'll just show me the words that I've had to tag. Because at these points, when that happens during the translation process, I can generally triangulate between Azeri, and then you got the Turkish, and the Kazakh. That's my current triangulation structure, where if I end up facing these situations of the unknowns where I can't accept a new word, often if I just switch over to Azeri mode, there is definitely, well, about 60 to 80% of the time, there is a word equivalent that my parents definitely did use, especially my mum. So in terms of the Turkic spectrum, according to modern language today, my map is not really sitting within that space of Turkey, it's actually kind of swinging Azeri. But there's another tendril that's going into Kazakh direction, and I know there's another one into the Uzbek. The thing is, the translation process is very difficult for me because I'm seeking precision and I'm seeking home, the sound of home. And these are the sounds my parents made, the memory of their voices in my mind. I'm seeking the sound of home. So I just got distracted again, gone off tangent somehow. Lost my trail of thought. Alright, so there's this triangulation process where usually I can find a way through. I can find a workaround where I can find a word that just, yeah, that's it. I'm trying to explain this concept. There's a solid Azeri word for that concept. I accept it with hands down. It's because it sounds like home. I love it. It makes me feel great. I just love the sound of the word, and I'm at peace there. So I adopt that. And if I have the time where I can't find a resolution between my triangle here, I have the ability to branch out further into the other Turkic tongues, such as Uzbek and Turkmen and all these other lingos, where they will offer me alternative pathways where I can find a way through to still be able to express myself with the soundscape that sounds like home for me, that makes me feel at peace. But the issue is, I don't have the luxury of time like that because this translation process is very difficult for me. I'm seeking the precision, and that's why each piece is no more than around somewhere between, on average, it's between 75 to 100 words. It's like hardly a paragraph, or maybe just about a paragraph's worth. To translate that in a way that makes me feel at home, at peace, takes me roughly near about towards 45 minutes. So that's kind of like what the Fakugi, 45 minutes just to translate one paragraph. Yeah, it takes that long. And sometimes I face acute difficulty because various concepts are, well, let's say it's potentially metaphoric, but I'm facing this problem where English is a highly detailed, nuanced language where there's thousands upon thousands of different shades of one type of a concept, but there is no such equivalent in Turkish. However, in Turkish, that really hyper fine shades of nuance is generally expressed through the suffix. So the problem is trying to work out how do I get the root. It's about trying to nail some form of a root, and then I can kind of get there by painting it with some type of a suffix that feels like my place, where I've come from, what feels like home to me. So 45 minutes, yes. Sometimes it's towards an hour and 15, but sometimes some passages can be towards 15 minutes as well. So it's 15 minutes towards 1 hour and 15. And yeah, I hate this 1 hour 15. What's 1 hour 15 as a fucking decimal? Yeah, you get the picture. So that's what this is functioning as. As I progressed, I found a need to annotate the asterisks with other words where they're unknown to me, but I like the sound and I actually can Kabul it. So that's why the asterisk tends to appear on the other sides of words. When the asterisk is on the right side of a word, it means I didn't know it. It didn't exist in my database, but I like it. I'm able to bridge through sound. I'm able to comfortably accept it and assimilate with it in a way that I will actually remember it in future because I am able to bridge meaning through the soundscape. So that's the kind of loose function where I haven't been able to do an asterisk on every single word where it's happened. But there's more than enough for me to do research further in future where I just do a lookup and then I go, okay, I had trouble with this word. I couldn't triangulate it with these three languages. And it needed further research into branching out into the other tongues to try and work out how do I resolve this problem. Where sometime in the future, yeah, I'll probably have time to do that sort of further research deeper. In the meanwhile, I have an objective of I gotta get the job done somehow. Because I can't spend an eternity trying to get it absolutely shit hot perfect. However, yeah, this is the instance of you got to just stop, just accept. There's no way through. Just take on this word because that's the only one that exists for this particular function. Just got to accept. I've just got to put this in here as a placeholder, but to signify I've got an issue with it. I think that's just about it for the asterisk where, yeah, there are other shades of, I don't know how to explain that briefly either, where, yeah, my use of the curly bracket, where there was a piece in the past where, yeah, this is basically to indicate the names of places, names of a person, some sort of a name where it's basically similar to how you are forced to capitalize a word. That is kind of its general function. However, at this phase, I'm starting to see, right, if I put Cronulla here, there's a need for me to, in future, signify, okay, this is one of those names, but it's the name of a place. So I need to find a way to say, okay, we've got a name here and it's a place. And then, yeah, okay, you've got Sally. And that's the name of a person. However, in language, I've got another kind of quirk where, alright, there's a phrase that I say in one piece that I did recently, which was Özür şüpheli. Şüpheli. Right, let's just go for the English version of I'm sorry, self-doubt. It's something like that where this self-doubt is the name of an entity. It's a name. It's the name of an entity or it's kind of like an inferred name. I can't quite explain it other than knowing that this is almost similar to the use of quotes, but not quite. It's making some. That's the name of a person who carries self-doubt, but it's actually being signified as a name. That's the best I'll come up with on the fly in terms of trying to explain that. But as you can see, there's this curly bracket functioning as name. But in future, there is a need to articulate that was a place, that was a person, that was a thing or a concept, or yeah, I haven't quite resolved the how do I articulate this complexity here. not that complex, but I need time to what's the word for that? Convalesce, converge, no, coagulate, sort of, something. I just need time to stew on it, kind of like rendering a caramel, where it takes time to render the caramel. Yeah, it takes a long time before I can render it into a solid, concise, clear nugget. But yeah, that was me trying to sort of illustrate how this asterisk has a similar type of multi-level issues similar to the curly bracket, where in future there will be a need to articulate the details further through some symbolic annotation of some kind that I can design in future. So the reason for that was, like, while reviewing One Piece, especially with a word like Cronulla, there's no possible way that anyone would be able to work out that this is the name of a place. And this is the kind of problem I will encounter with Turkish in the format of news, because the news often features a lot of words that refer to names of places I've never been to, never known. So I can't work out what is a place, who is a politician. I don't know their names. And that just struck me as that's why I feel there's a need to signify in future that was a place, that was a person, that was a thing, that was a something or other. And yeah, that's similar to this unknown, and it's similar to a lot of these other annotations I've had to come up with in my notes. So there's other symbols, like, what the hell's going on with these brackets? What are you doing there, Archam? Now it's not the time for me to go nitty gritty. But in general, I think the basic level is I'm pretty much trying to create a form of musical notation to help me with needing to keep the root separated from the suffix. I need to sort of work on that, but sometimes various words, root words or root concepts have been corrupted with, it's still carrying bits of a suffix, and yeah, there's this ambiguity, and it's essentially just I need to find a way to. They're actually just like crutches for me. They're like training wheels that I need. It's an expression of this is the noise coming out of my mouth, and I want my written language to accurately convey the soundscape of what I'm hearing coming out of my mouth, because my intonation is not the same as a native in other regions from here. My prosody is very strongly shaped by the land I was born and grew up on. So essentially it is like a transcription of this is the sound of over here, my place. Yeah, my place. Here's my place. Wombat. Easton. That's the sound of here.
Şiirde var okuyayım mı? Yeter! Adım Ayşe!